this on. Maybe everybody can hear me. Is everyone there?
We are here. Was there obviously a technical difficulty there?
It was a technical difficulty, but I think it was actually more than anything. It was the error of myself. I forgot to turn this on after I turned this off to start the show. You would think after 1 year I would figure out how to run this thing, but I still haven't figured it out.
Maybe a surprise to you were having a show tonight.
Could have been. I think what happened was I watched this Black Bart Jim Jeffers match and went to sleep, and I forgot about it. But anyway, we're talking about World Championship Wrestling, Saturday, June 1st, 1985. The show started out with a clip of Nikita Koloff. I'm not for sure who he's beating up in this opening match. Does anybody know who that was?
No, there wasn't enough of it for me to catch who it was.
All I saw was, again, shoulders to the mat and Nikita, I think, sticking his tongue out. I'm not sure.
So if somebody was being pinned, that could have been Mike Jackson.
No, I don't think so. That was the Carolinas.
Oh, okay. All right. Tony Schiavone and David Crockett ran down the show, and you could hear Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer in the background, hooting and hollering, and This Buzz Sawyer Ron Garvin match against Randy Barber and Mike Samadi. I felt bad for Randy Barber, especially that poor old Mike Samadi. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I was just glad I wasn't in his spot. You know, the match was good. They didn't give those two guys the time of day, but the pacing was so well done that it was not a boring match at all.
As we see in this match, Ron Garvin had his fist taped up because the week prior he had hit the belt, so his hand was broke or was hurt. So that was a great touch that they just didn't act like that didn't happen.
You're surprised by that. That only happens on WWE.
That's true. They don't think about what happened the week before. Also, we found out that could also happen on Mid-South Wrestling back in 1984. Yeah. But you'll have to go watch Friday night on Mid-South Wrestling. On Friday nights, we put that on YouTube. It's exclusively on YouTube, so you can go see what we have to say about that. We didn't have bad things to say, but we told our thoughts on all that going on. This is what I thought about, though. I don't know that Buzz Sawyer and Ron Garvin had teamed before, but they made a pretty good tag team.
They did.
You know, so I thought that was pretty good. After that, Tony Schiavone.
Next, you'll be calling him Ern Anderson.
This is just not my day. I started out, I didn't have the stuff turned on, and now I can't even speak. So this is.
Hey, fans, y'all come back in about 15 minutes. We're going to try this again.
That's right.
Don't leave. It's just a joke.
You know, I want to be honest with you. This is live. You know, if I could redo it, we would. But anyways, Tony Schiavone interviews the United States heavyweight champion Magnum TA, who talks about how prestigious the NWA World Title was. Rodney, what did you think about the interview?
This was actually really good, and it kind of chronicles everything that's went up to this point. And now TA decided now he's moved one step. He has respect for the title, but not for the champion. So I thought that was very good.
And, you know, he does say he wants to become the world heavyweight champion, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that would have been the next night. I think Magnum TA was going to go against Ric Flair at the Omni in Atlanta. Then we come back, Jack, Dusty Rhodes, Dick Slater with an interview.
Yeah, it's very good. Appeared to be a little actual heat between the two in some manner, but good interview. Good interview.
They also showed a video of the belts being. I guess they actually. I guess they won the belts, but they took it away because of two referees were in this match. So I guess in the arenas coming up, they're going to have two referees in the match. Exactly what? Because I'm trying to think about Rodney. Do you remember exactly what happened in this match and why there was two referees?
Well, Mike Fever, the original referee, Tommy Young, was knocked out of the ring. Mike Fever was not the official referee, so a disqualification apparently was in that we didn't see. The main point of this particular video is to show that Dick Slater beating Ivan Koloff. They had the belts and got him taken back by a technicality, which gets ready for that two referees. But Tommy was the official referee, the one assigned. Mike Fever comes in later. And you would think that they might want to add three because the original two couldn't figure it out.
Let me ask you a question, Jack. That's the Dusty Rhodes finish, isn't it?
Pretty close. It's a non-finish finish. So yeah, it can take a few different swerve turns there, but yeah, that was a classic.
And I'm with Jack. I detected hostility between Slater and Dusty. Maybe they're not getting along in the back.
They might not have. Dick Slater might have said that's some horrible booking or something. I don't know.
You want me to tell you what? I'm not talking about any of that.
Magnum TA then went against Larry Clark, and boy, I tell you what, I thought this was Larry Clark's time. I thought he was going to go
the distance. He might have hit a full minute. You was hoping that he would get a full minute, but
I think he might have got 1 minute in.
Did he finally get the minute? Okay.
I think he might have got 1 minute in that match. He gave him the belly-to-belly suplex, and he won that match, Magnum TA. And then Tony Schiavone interviews the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair. This was a good interview. I wrote this down because I thought this was pretty good. He said that he was walking through the airport and people, Rambo who? And he'd come up with all kinds of other stuff. Like they didn't know really who that was, but they knew who the Nature Boy was, Ric Flair, Slick Rick. Jack, what did you think about the interview?
Again, classic Flair getting his point across that you might be good, but you ain't nowhere near as good as the Nature Boy.
One of the other things he said he handles his opponents like he handles his love life, since he always leaves a lasting impression. That's what he says in his interview, which I thought was something. The interview was magnificent. And then Rodney, he goes through a bunch of things where he wins a bunch of matches.
Yeah, he does Jerry Lawler thing of all he had beat, all the people that he had beat. Went through a Harley Race, then he goes through Dusty. Of course, Joe. Now, Dusty didn't want to show himself in that video being beat. Joe Frazier stopped the match because of bleeding. And then he talked about, of course, then they talked about Magnum TA, and then TA Flair, I believe, has a very special gift for Magnum TA, and that's this suit that he says was, $1,200 or whatever.
Yeah, $1,200 or $1,500, and he left it while he was in his match, so you give it to him. The Starrcade 83, they showed the Starrcade 83, which would have been a Harley Race against Ric Flair. Then they show one where he's pinning Kerry Von Erich in Tokyo. Then they do the Dusty Rhodes, the Joe Frazier. And by the way, later on in this, Dusty Rhodes, I think, comes back and talks about Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier, this ain't no professional boxing match, baby.
Comes back and talks about that a little bit. Then Ric Flair goes against George South, and then once again, it shows why Ric Flair is one of the top wrestlers of all time, and you have to give it to him. That's Flair knew anytime Flair got in the ring, he was going to make you look. Now, they're not everybody that he did that to, but he made each person look like somebody, and he tried to make them look as good as he could make them look. At the same time, he got himself over. I mean, that's the reason. People ask why Ric Flair should be in the top 10 of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and I'm talking about from the 60s on. This is the reason. Don't you guys agree with that?
Definitely agree. And at this time frame, I think Flair was probably at the very height of how good he was. For years here in this time period, he was going everywhere and he was wrestling everybody. And it was hour-long matches a lot of times. And I mean, of course, he always had his little spots that he liked to do, but he didn't get quite as repetitive till later in the 90s,
Yeah, that got bad in the 90s.
This shows him perfect.
It does. And Tony Magnum TA comes out during this deal, and I thought he was superb in this thing. Superb in the way he did this.
Oh, exactly. And again, it goes to the fact that these people have spent years perfecting their craft. They were not molded. They were not. These are themselves. Magnum TA, Ric Flair, taking years to develop, and this is the payoff right here. This is the payoff. Magnum TA comes out there. He's talking about the suit. This is a pretty nice suit. I've never had a suit like this. I just got to go in the ring, and I've got to thank him for this. And then proceeds to look at the suit and starts to tear it up. And Flair at first wasn't giving him anything. He's just kind of standing there staring at him. And then it just kind of evolved. And then he goes to do the sucker punches and gets caught in the belly to belly. It's great stuff and a perfect build up to the big main event at the Omni coming up.
Yeah, and the belly to belly to me made it. Remember, the week prior, Ric Flair beat him up right there in the middle of the ring, left him laying. TA just got out, and the next week he tries it again with Magnum TA, and he hits the belly to belly. Jack, that storytelling 101.
It was fantastic. And what made it so believable was Flair sold it. Sold it. Selling. Guys don't do that anymore. He made it look like he was hurt, like he should.
Well, and of course today a belly to belly is just they will normally beat their opponent up to their feet before their other guy, the next person.
It's a segue spot into a super kick.
That's right. That is right.
What was also good about this, right after the belly to belly, Magnum TA picks up the 10 pounds of gold, takes it over to the announcer's table and says, "Soon I'll be taking this without stealing it," basically. And this is what happens. Now I know he puts it down there. David Crockett, or Tony Schiavone, one of them put it underneath the podium. Ric Flair comes over and says, "You get him back out of here. He's got my belt. He stole my belt." And I thought Crockett was great in this. He said,
"He did great."
He said, wait, no, it's right here. And he gives it to him, and he says, Tony Schiavone says something like, "Well, no, see, he didn't steal it." Ric Flair says not one word. He just takes it.
Yeah, he's so indignant at this point. He's just so mad. It was great.
It was great stuff. It was great storytelling. And then that match that got me all messed up at the first of this, and I couldn't speak for the first 5 minutes of this show. Black Bart went against Jim Jeffers. Jack, what did you think?
It wasn't a bad match, and the best part, it didn't last long.
That's right.
This is true, but Rodney, did he not do the Andersons thing again?
Yes, he did. Apparently, no one spoke to him about this. I mean, could we talk to you for a second? No, still doing that. And then all of that work just to do a leg drop off the second rope. Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I don't understand why he was doing that. You would think he knew that he
was confusing his opponent as well as the audience and anyone else.
Well, afterwards, Ron Garvin joins Tony and David at the table to complain about Bart. There's a lot of stealing of the titles there. This time, though, I think Black Bart actually did steal the National Heavyweight Championship. He comes up there and they confront each other, and Black Bart says, "Let me tell you something." Well, that's probably a Russian. That's probably not the true thing that he said. I won't even try to do the voice that he did.
You got to have tobacco in your cheek to be able to do a Black Bart.
That's true. So I won't ever be able to do that. I don't need no tobacco products. But unless they want to sponsor the program, then we make it. I'm just joking. We still probably would. But anyway,
cigars now.
Cigars, yeah. Loser leaves town match. He pushes the loser league title match. So I'm gathering Black Bart's gone.
I believe so.
No,
It's not.
I don't think so. No, because eventually it is Baby Doll helping Black Bart with a loaded elbow pad beat Ron Garvin for the national title.
So this was another Dusty Rhodes finish in this?
It's looking like it because Ronnie Garvin he does leave, but it's later, and he comes back as Miss Atlanta Lively with the Midnight Express. But that's we're way off from that. But I don't think there, and it could be he leaves Atlanta, but nowhere else. But yeah, Ronnie Garvin's still there.
Maybe that meant he didn't get to wrestle on television.
It might have been.
I'm getting
later on, when we're coming up to it, Baby Doll slips, I think it's Black Bart, a loaded elbow pad, and he nails Garvin with it and wins the belt.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Black Bart. Never his fault of what he had going on at the time. Okay,
no.
It was not Rick Harris's fault. It was just the booking portions of this that made him not look very good. But I don't think it was him. It was what he had to do.
Not Rick. Rick was a great guy, a great worker.
Tony Blanchard then with Baby Doll went against Paul Gardner. This match was fast.
Yeah, well, this time it's not a 2-hour show this week. They had to cut it to an hour, so they split all the matches up, cut the time down.
And I thought they were much better when they were cut down, but I thought I wanted to see more of Tully, and it went maybe 2 minutes. If it went that long, he hit him with that slingshot suplex and beat him. Then here comes Ole and Arn Anderson, and just out of nowhere, Ole starts talking about Buzz Sawyer. Now
Ole was late getting to the set. Arn was there first, talking, right? And then Ole decides, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be out there. Hold on. Maybe they were giving him some last-minute instructions of who he's supposed to talk about. You want me to talk about Buzz? We haven't worked against Buzz yet. But we want you to talk about Buzz because we're doing this later. Well, you should have got with me early about this. No, well, never mind. No, don't worry about it, Dusty. I'll take care of it.
Well, now this is what he says. He accuses Buzz Sawyer and Ron Garvin of having an Anderson-style match. I don't know.
Well, they were in a tag match, so that would be the
that was the problem. I was wondering what kind of match that.
Well, and also they eat those guys' lunch like Anderson's do. So
I think he got messed up with Black Bart. I think he thought
that might have been the reason he was late. He was back there cussing Black Bart again.
Well, now Ole warns Buzz Sawyer. He says, "Hey, if you get back in the ring, if you get in the ring with us, we'll hurt you." And this made Buzz Sawyer a little mad. They go to the break. Buzz Sawyer comes back out, and he's giving some lip to the referee and to the Anderson when he's come back. Tremendous stuff. What did y'all think?
I love this. This was great. It was good stuff, and finally some competition match through the whole thing. And Buzz he was fantastic, and actually had Arn beat. Ole comes off the top rope with the knee and calls a disqualification. Yes, and I'm
gonna tell you when he pulled Alan Martin off that, I don't think Alan Martin had no other choice but to come down pretty hard.
No, he was coming off.
he wasn't. I'm gonna tell you, Buzz Sawyer was a strong person.
Yeah, he was a house, no doubt.
Great stuff. Dick Slater comes in to make the save on Buzz Sawyer where they were stomping as Steve Austin said, a mud hole into Buzz Sawyer. And that's the show just goes off this way, only 1 hour on TBS. A great show. Well done. Sold me a ticket. I would have been at the Omni in Atlanta.
And that's what I was thinking about today before we came on. Every one of these, I said, man, I would like to have seen what happened in these matches. And that's the key. If you want to see what's going on then, they didn't give it to you all for free on TV. You had to come to the arenas. That's where the real show is.
Well, that was a great show. That's one of the best ones I've seen so far. And it only gets better. The shows only get better as the years go by. Guys, are you ready to go to the Insiders? Well, let's see what they got to say. And let's start all the way to the top Corrine Anderson. Good evening, guys. Hey, we were talking about the Anderson just a moment ago, Corrine.
Stars.
Michael Barr, hello from Southeast Alabama. Glenn Allen Shelton with us. Mickey Mayfield. This WCW episode was my favorite. Loved Magnum tearing up the suit. Flair ball.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Michael Barr says, sleeping on the job there, are you right? No, only during that Black Bart match. I was only sleeping during the Black Bart. I kid you, Rick Harris, if you're watching, I kid you. We got to make fun of somebody on here, and we just so happen to.
Well, you can only make fun of David so much, and then it gets boring.
Then you just get, and then it just gets mean. So you got to go on some best. Next week we'll start talking about somebody else making
which as to show that we don't have favoritism here. I did wear again my David Crockett appreciation shirt.
Dr. Phil Bogrice said, gentlemen and distinguished professors are ready for more wisdom about the glory days of wrestling. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much, Dr. Phil Bogrice, for being a part of the show. Stuart Kemp, welcome one and all. We ended up with more music. Brett just wanted to crank up the thing.
I'm beginning to wonder what's going on there.
I thought, well, I don't think this is ever. You would think after a certain time, you just learn how to do the television, the video, and run it right. But I guess I'm gonna have to bring somebody in to run it, and I just have to. Well, but the pay doesn't get. You don't get paid a lot to do that. So we're going to run that with
pickle and a 2-liter Dr. Pepper.
And at some points here, just hello, how you doing? Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And we can't afford the big pickles either, just the little gherkins.
Just the little bitty ones, and maybe just the slices.
Yeah.
Theodore McIrwin, evening guys. Hello to you, Richard Hood. How are you doing, sir? Chris Vick is with us with the old right there, Ted Allen right there on his picture, one of the greats.
And today would have been Ted's 65th birthday.
Oh man, he was one of the best. Knew he was another one of those guys you could put in the ring and say, Ted, we don't really know what we're going to do in this match. We haven't thought about it to this point. We've been having problems out here in the front. You and Scott going to wrestle each other. You're going to go 15 minutes, figure out what's going to happen, and then figure it out in the ring.
Yep. Have one of the best matches on the card too.
Yeah, it was. He was just tremendous. Dr. Phil Bogrice said, "We know modern wrestling relies on professional writers for what can be a B-rate product. Did old school use writers? No writers. Bookers? No writers. If so, why was their podcast better? No writers. Jack,
one guy who would listen if you had an idea about something and he liked it, he would go with it. If he didn't like it, you were going to do what he told you to do. But you had one guy in charge, and that's what's missing today. Vince wants to be in charge, but all he's doing is filtering what he's paying these writers to come up with. And I don't know if the writers are crap or Vince just doesn't know how to interpret anything, but it ain't working.
No, it's they're still getting ratings. Let's don't. They're still making money. They're still a almost $1 billion company, and so they're still making money. But the ratings are not what they used to be. But no show is. So we have to take that in account. No show is doing the ratings it used to do, because I believe with these programs and the internet, probably YouTube, Netflix, and all that probably don't help them any. Rodney, what do you got to say about this?
Well, is the difference between experience and those people really don't have that kind of experience. We're talking about wrestling every single night in front of a different audience. Lots of times, especially when Flair got started, he was doing multiple TV shows per week, similar to what they do now. But they were hiring him for him, not to hear write these lines. That's the reason that when you go into a show, you had to tell the wrestlers very little what to do. They knew what they were doing. They were seasoned. Look how many years Dusty had been doing it. Look how many years Dick Slater had been doing it. Magnum TA had been through a great run through Mid-South. So every person that was on there was experienced. And they knew in that tape, you either produced or you were gone. There was none of this. Well, we'll hold on to you. We'll keep writing, and we'll just make the people. They'll buy anything. That's not the way it works. When you were an arena-based, driven, most of your revenue comes from ticket sales. They expect better, and right now, that's not exactly what they're doing. They don't expect the best. They just expect somebody to do what they're told.
And you got to remember, every booker did a little different.
Exactly right.
Ole Anderson would tell you, and let's say there was 5 matches on the card. He'd go and he'd say, okay, Pierre Lefebvre and Charlie Fulton, you got the first match. Do not go outside the ring. Do not go on the top rope. Do not use any fist in the match, and just wrestle. Just wrestle. Do not throw. Don't even throw forearms. Wrestle. I don't want you to do anything else. He might go to the second match and say, and a lot of times, sometimes Ole did not take care of all the matches. Sometimes the assistant booker, which would be our father, Ron West, or somebody else, might take care of the first 4 matches because he was going to be in the main event. And then the second match, he might say, okay, this is that. He would give each one of them how he wanted to do. Okay, in this match, only go work the arm, don't do a headlock, and this is how now you can throw forearms in the second match. And he would tell them all that. Bill Dundee might say, okay, you're in the first match, you got 15 minutes, here's the finish, thank you so much, and bye. Dusty might have been
and again, back then you could do that with the experienced people that you have.
Now sometimes today you probably have to say, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3.
Well, in the first matches today, they would try to tear the ring down, and try to drive a truck through the whole place, and that kind of thing. And the first match, and by the time you get to the main event, the people are wore out. They're not ready. They've already seen everything, and then there's nothing for the main event to do because they've already seen it all in the prior matches.
And you do have to remember these guys work 7 days a week, so they were working on their craft, and they know what worked and what didn't work. Because when you're working in front of a live audience, a lot of times that live audience were very cruel, Jack. You know what I'm talking about. They can be very cruel to you when you're horrible.
And lots of times these were weekly towns. You could not do the same thing night in and night out, which today I would assume that if they were having live shows, that most nights, if you saw the match on Monday, would be the exact same show you would see on Friday. It would be the same exact thing all the way through. In Georgia, in Southeastern, it was like that, and I thought it was dumb back then to do because we had people traveling. But in Georgia, we went for a week and never saw the same match.
Yeah,
every single night was different. Southeastern and Continental was different. I thought it was lazy, whatever the matches were, and in Birmingham was the same finish all through the week, and I just thought it was lazy.
Well, eventually that will kill your territory when people are traveling from town to town, and you tell them.
You want them to. You want them to travel.
And you tell the bookers, or you tell the people in charge, hey, listen, it's the same people. There's some of the same people in Birmingham that's going to, because you're doing all your angles in Birmingham, so people are traveling into Birmingham now because they want to see all the stuff you did on TV, and now you did that same finish down in Mobile, Alabama, where you just smarten those folks up. So when they got mad at Vince McMahon for that, you have to look at them and go, well, you did the same thing. Just
exact same thing. And normally Dothan was the Dothan, because the shows were a week behind because of the way they bicycled the tapes. So Dothan would have their TV and then the matches that night, and they would do the same. And then the next week around, they would do the same finish Monday all the way through to Saturday again until they came back to Dothan. And I just
and it got really bad when they started running Knoxville, and they did all the angles in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so a lot of times they did the same finishes in Knoxville they did in Birmingham, and it smartened those folks up. So just remember that if you're promoting wrestling, do stuff different. Not today, not like you can't smarten up.
If I had one major criticism for our days in Continental, that would be it. I mean, that would be it. And I just thought it was terribly lazy.
Jack, what do you think about all that?
Oh, I concur. I agree with all of that. First thing Continental I noticed was the finishes were the same everywhere we went to, and I really had to scratch my head over that one.
It's not a smart thing to do.
And then those same people would talk about how awful the shows are today.
Yes.
They might say, that's what is it? The kettle calling each other black or something. You know what I'm saying? That's the cause of it. They started it. They innovated in it.
Joe Bateman. Hi, everyone. Daryl Glass enjoying the show from Jacksonville Beach. Kevin Pendley say, hey, guys, how long was Ronnie Garvin's title reign? 2 weeks? Or why wasn't he given a longer run with it? Because he was over, and I don't think Dusty enjoyed that. Everybody says Ron Garvin wasn't over, but does anybody ever watch that tape where he wins the World Heavyweight title?
Yeah,
or when he knocks Dusty Rhodes out. If you'll remember, the people went nuts about it.
Yeah. Garvin was over, and they didn't want him to be. That's the answer to the question. They didn't want him to be. And they did that turn to effectively kill him off is exactly why they did it.
Ronnie has a lot of bitterness about that whole thing, and understandably so.
Yeah, we were like, when they did it, what moron come up with that? And we know was Dusty. Hey, Bill Dundee has not very good things to say about Dusty. I'll just tell you that. That's right.
And not that Dusty Rhodes was not a great booker, because he was. It was just sometimes he would look at someone that might get over better than him, and he didn't want that to happen. Dusty Rhodes wanted to be the major star, which is you're the man.
You can let him go. You don't have to keep him around.
I mean, Rodney booked himself the same way.
Yeah, I'm still not over that pinfall loss.
All right, see, where was I at here? Joe Bateman, old school professional wrestling is just better than modern wrestling. I will agree with you on that. Joe also, Ric Flair is a great worker. Mickey Mayfield said, old school superstars, Flair, Race, Dusty, Wrestler 2 could go every night, hour-long matches and make them all look perfect every time. Don't know of any of today's performers that could do that. What do you guys think, Jack?
Randy Orton could. Without a doubt.
Rodney?
Oh, well, it was me.
Did Rodney go to sleep?
No. I was trying to figure out somebody. No.
I think the only guy that I personally believe is Daniel Bryan. I believe he could. I believe he's the only person that I see. And then Adam Cole is pretty good. I think that he could probably do it as far as the old school ways. I think they both could maybe do it. The only thing with Adam Cole, he's a little small, and it'll be very hard for Vince to ever push him.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that about it, but that's the truth. Richard Hood did say the Dusty finish.
Yes.
That finish was done a lot. I think that that was one of those finishes that should have been said, no, I'm sorry, you're not going to do that finish again. I do believe a booker. Now, I want to ask you two guys this. A booker really does need some over top of them to say no?
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, I always thought that whoever was booking did not need to be in the ring. Yeah. Because your natural tendency, I did it myself when I booked and worked, is you think that you have such a great idea, but you worry that somebody else can't get it over, but you know how to get it over.
Yeah.
So you don't want to waste the idea. And so there's that line that you have to walk, and I just think that bookers should be removed from that in-ring experience while they're in that booking position.
All right. Marty said back in the early 90s when I was working at WCW, almost all matches never went over 4 minutes except for dark matches or house shows. And that's the way it should be. But sometimes 4 minutes can seem like 22 minutes if the match is going bad. I mean, really bad. Michael Townsend is hello from Waynesville, North Carolina.
Right.
Kevin said, who gave Dick Slater the name Mr. Excitement? I believe that could have been Gordon Soley as well.
Gordon Soley again. Exactly.
I think Gordon Soley gave a lot of people their names, their nicknames. All right, we already, James, I'm just going to say, hey, James, how you doing? Today is Johnny Weaver's birthday. Watched him as a kid. Was my dad's favorite wrestler.
Yeah, the Weaver lock.
One of the best. You know, I always liked him in commentary when as he
was good.
I thought he was
very good.
Kevin Pendley said, you guys ever see Ole smile? Yes, I saw Ole smile in his time.
Yeah. Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
He elbowed me and then smiled.
Yeah, Ole was, Ole was always nice to us. I cannot ever say that Ole was he was never mean to us. He was never, he was always nice to us. Now, he would tell you like it was.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, I'd rather have somebody tell me like it is instead of just, telling me whatever I want to hear and then talk about me behind my back. So
if you had an ego, you did not survive around Ole unscathed.
No, you did not. Richard Hood says Studio 1050 Techwood Drive. Yes, that was the second studio for. I didn't like it as much. It was a little bigger or something. I think is what it was, and I always had bad things happen to me there. I was leaning one time next to the monitor in that Techwood Drive. I fell asleep during a Dick Murdoch match. I don't know why I fell asleep during this match, but those things were on rollers, so they could roll their monitors around all over the place, and they didn't lock those little wheels down. And when I leaned up against it and fell back on it, it went, and that whole monitor went backwards, and I went down. And Gordon Soley, after at the intermission, come over, or was the commercial, and said, "Would you not do that again? I'm trying to do commentary over there." I was trying not to laugh about that. And then it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks later, they had a wheelchair there, and that was the only chair was there, and I was sitting in it on a set, and that thing rolled off. I fell asleep again. I think this was during somebody, I don't know whose match it was, but I fell asleep again, and I rolled off that thing off into the floor, and it held up about that high, about that high on the thing, and went sailing through there. So I had a lot of experiences there, Richard Hood, there at that Techwood Drive. David Byte said, "Oh, guys, enjoyed the show from Asadi Daisy." Here's somebody from our YouTube channel, saw Jack Russell tear Bam Bam Gordy on YouTube. Great show. That was a good match back in those days, Jack.
Well, we wrestled each other a lot of times. I thought that, it was a good match. I think it's held up well. We had some really great ones, though, that never were filmed. I wished I could see those somehow.
Mickey Mayfield said, "Loved when the fans would chant. That's the way we like it. At the studio, made for a great show, even if the match wasn't." I think sometimes those fans was working. I'm not for sure. I think they were working. Ole and Dusty were wrestling minds. We will agree with that. Richard Hood, Rodney Jarrett also didn't allow the same match night after night. In smart booking, smart as an owner, because you will kill your territory. I don't even care if people know it's real. They just don't want to see the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Joe Bateman, Bobby Heenan would have been a great booker. I agree with that.
Yes. And I do believe, wasn't he Bockwinkel's assistant at one time? Seemed like.
I believe so.
I agree with what Brent said. Traveling with y'all, always knew when it was time to pack up picks and shirts to leave out.
That's right.
Yes, you are correct. Kevin Pendley said, so you were saying Dusty was jealous and wanted the rub from the Road Warriors and even Baby Doll. I don't know if jealous would have been the word. It's jealous. You think jealous would have been the word?
I don't think jealous. It's just the nature of the business back then. If you're in a top spot, you don't want to give up that top spot. And if you've got something that you can do to keep it, being the booker, whatever, you're going to keep it.
Yeah. What about you, Rodney?
Yeah. Well, and Dusty did several things during that time, especially when we were up in Kansas City. Rest of the towns were awful. St. Joe was coming up, and Dad had mentioned to Dusty. He said, we're struggling up here, but I want to let you know that we're doing pretty decent in St. Joe." And Dusty turned, looked at him, and said, "Keep it low key, baby."
Yeah, he did.
Still don't understand. We still don't get it, what that was about.
And would take stuff off the television show that we thought would draw, and they would take it off the TV show, and it never would get played.
It was a very strange time, I'll just tell you.
Michael Townsend said, I'm a wrestler too. I have worked rock and roll and the old guys from WCW. Brent, the one before was 1018 West Peachtree. Yeah, I love that picture.
Yeah, that was an awesome place.
That was just a great.
It is a great, and I think it's the way they packed the people in there. And then those great chants. I don't know of any other place that did a great chant like that. We had some great audiences there.
I always thought the one, "Give me a rope or tree to hang the referee," was pretty mean.
What a classic. That was a classic. We used that once at a junior high basketball game and were asked to leave.
Yeah, they don't like it at the basketball, but okay at wrestling matches. And those people at that TV station was, they do the fired up Tommy, fired up Tommy. That was a great television station. We need to just go. You know what we need to do? We need to just go back and recreate every television show. Since we can't show it, since we can't play it, it can't be. We just need to go back and redo all those shows the way they were done back then in them days and recreate every bit of that stuff. And that way people can at least see it that don't get to see that today. Kevin said, "Did you guys find it odd that Yankee Ken Dillinger was introduced as from California?" I don't remember. I don't think he was. I think if I go back and look at some old programs from Columbus, I believe he was. I don't understand that either. But now a lot of people were announced from places, and there's a possibility. I used to make up places for people to be from, especially when I didn't remember where they were from.
That's right. We just make it up.
But whatever you do in life, folks, when you're announcing Vinny Vegas, Kevin Nash, make sure you get his weight right, because he'll get very upset with you.
He's very, very sensitive about his weight.
Very sensitive about his weight. So make sure if he's ever on a
not as sensitive as his quads, apparently. But
well, let's see. I wish the matches at Minnesota Auditorium in Atlanta had been videotaped. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Some great stuff. Let's see. Richard Hood said the James Brown show Future Shock was filmed in that studio.
So the one at Peachtree or the one at Techwood Drive, Richard?
Let's see. Kevin said some on YouTube, but it's not full matches on YouTube. I think the earliest you can find is 1979 on YouTube for Georgia Championship Wrestling. There
are some Gunkel stuff that I had found, and I think you've posted it with Dad refereeing, and it looks like he just come from school and was out there.
Eric Buddy Burke said, "You're right, Jack, about bookers keeping ideals for themselves. When I booked for Grady Odom, I was the GCW Internet Champion, and now look at the Internet now."
Well, the funniest thing about that is they didn't have the Internet at that time. That's been around a long time.
He was talking about the one, Richard said it was the one on Peachtree that doing the James Brown show.
Well, folks, we hope you've enjoyed this show. We kind of got off the subject of World Championship Wrestling, but I think it was a great episode. And
we kept Dusty. He was still talked about throughout the show.
This is true. Dusty was, but we do love Dusty Rhodes, by the way. We do.
Yeah,
we do love Rick Harris, and just all in fun when we're talking about somebody. We're just having fun. Rodney, except for when Rodney's talking about Kevin Sullivan. Other than that, everything else is pretty fun. Jack, anything we need to talk about before we leave today?
No, been another great episode. Looking forward to our next one.
You've upset someone, Jack. Eric Buddy Burke is upset with you.
Somebody asked if New Jack is still wrestling. Is he still wrestling? New Jack still wrestling?
Jack never did wrestle. He just beat people up. Which the sad part is, now I know New Jack, and I think a lot of him. He was actually a very good technical wrestler, but he was just never allowed to present that side of himself because the gimmick didn't work if he did. But yeah, he still does some stuff occasionally.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We certainly do appreciate it. We're growing each and every day on Facebook. We're 11,615. We grew over 130 people in one day, and it's because of you. And we do appreciate you sharing our videos, sharing our posts. We certainly do appreciate it. We're growing on YouTube. So we want to thank you so much for the bottom of our hearts. We certainly do appreciate it. And we enjoy doing this. We enjoy bringing you old school wrestling and talking about old school. And occasionally we'll talk a little bit about the new stuff that's going on today, just to keep ourselves knowing what's going on in professional wrestling today, or sports entertainment, or whatever it's called today. But we thank you so much. Rodney, we thank you. Jack, thank you so much, and we will see you on the next episode. And make sure you give us that big thumbs up, subscribe to the page, and go one step further on YouTube, and hit that notification bell. And if you're watching this on Facebook, do us a favor, like and share the page, and let everybody know about pro wrestling inside and out. Thank you so much, and we will see you next Monday live. Next Monday live, we'll be on there, and we'll talk about the NWO. One of the best things that Eric Bischoff ever did while with World Championship Wrestling. Until then, we'll see you all later.